Yeah, probably World Cup debut, I'd say. Just a special moment for me and my family, and something that you want to see, you want to dream and you want to achieve when you're growing up, and you reenact the World Cup moments and everything, and you always remember your favourite World Cup moments. So it's important to it's important for me and my family to experience things like that, and hopefully there'll be more to come.
To be fair, that is a decent answer. Mine will be like a good meal out or something, and you come out with that. That's a good answer. And finally, can I just say congratulations for the meal you put on for all those families in Liverpool as well. I think it was 60 families that you got involved with, sorting them out with some dinner for a local charity. That is special, and it's the sort of thing that footballers don't get recognised enough for, so well done for that.
Thank you.
No worries.
Well done, mate. Well
Top
done.
man.
Cheers.
Cheers, mate.
Thanks.
All the best. Well briefed, isn't he?
You know, we're just talking about, is he the best right back in the world? He's not even the best right back according, in England, is he? He's third choice. And is he really third choice?
What do you think?
I think actually we should find another position for him. I think he could play in the centre midfield role for England. I see a Gerrard in him. I think he's in this team as right back. But there's more to the player. I think we'll see him play more advanced, maybe in a midfield role as time goes on. He's a wonderful talent. He could play anywhere. He really has got an awful lot to his game. He reminds me of Gerrard as a youngster. Perhaps midfield will be the position. Maybe Southgate should find a role for him, perhaps to play in midfield. We haven't got a dearth of midfield players that could do that. The pace that he has, the vision for passes, and if he could be, moulded into that position, given the education with the Southgate is an outstanding manager, can give him the messages he needs.
Okay, well, from a man who was very well briefed to three men who, now they're retired, don't care what they say, and they are going to open up and reveal what it's really like to play in teams that are winning titles and trophies. Stay where you are. We'll talk about the psychology of winning the big trophies straight after the break. See you shortly. Then, gents, about the mentality of winning the league. Trent would never have said it to us, but there's no doubt about it, this Christmas would have transformed the thought processes of the Liverpool players and Jurgen Klopp. Suddenly they've gone from chasing City to being a big chunk ahead of them and ahead of Tottenham as well. Talk us through your experiences of winning titles, whether you're ahead or behind, and how much of a part psychology played in that.
Well, I think if you look back to the 98 victory for Arsenal winning the Premier League, I think they were handing out, the bookies were paying out to Manchester United that season. So far ahead were Manchester United, and we slowly reined them in and pipped them on the post. We won the last 10 matches. We won a game at Old Trafford, which set up that process. Take it on to 2002 when we won again. 2003 we were looking like we were going to go for the whole season. I think we were 5 or 6 points clear, and suddenly the pressure had to come on us in a different way. Rolling out the carpet saying this was now the change in English football. Arsenal had now overcome Manchester United. A different pressure came to us. The manager started talking about going unbeaten for the whole season. Look, with the season before, we'd gone unbeaten a whole season away from home, so there was no reason why we couldn't improve that. I could see that, but to announce that was a bit difficult and put more pressure on the team, and pretty well the wheels have came off for Arsenal that season. And so I can understand, when you're hunting and you're charging after a great team, it's almost easier, but when you get there, then you have to deal with the difference, everyone telling you how good yours almost to lose. It's a different psychology changes. But I feel with the manager that they've got, Jurgen Klopp, I think all the right messages, even there, you see Trent Alexander-Arnold there, the message is coming out from the group. It's almost like a propaganda. Everything's being controlled. We say the right things. We would love it now, wouldn't we, if he came out and said, yeah, we've been talking about winning it and we think we've done it, we cracked it. That message gets to City, and then all of a sudden it stokes the flames for them and they want to come and take it. So you have to be very careful. Every move is almost strategic, and it's one game at a time. It's one challenge, one pass, one goal, and they're doing that beautifully, Liverpool, and I feel they have a manager equipped to do it. So it's going to be very difficult for City to snatch it away, but they have when you come head to head with your opponent, as we used to at Manchester United, it was perhaps the only time that you could snatch the Premier League away from them, because everybody else now is melting away, aren't they, in the Premier League? We're looking at the quality. We said City were amazing last year. Now someone is surpassing that. Who would have thought that was thinkable? We thought we were going to, the next 3 or 4 years now, City were going to control it. But Liverpool have made it a great race. We're lucky to have these 2, 3, 4 outstanding managers that we have. Mustn't discount Tottenham in all of this. Not spent a penny really in the transfer market. They look like they've fallen away a little bit today. But City will now be hoping that the same happens to Liverpool that has happened to them, and they can go a long way to doing that on the 3rd of January.
And you both walked into dressing rooms where they were so used to winning the league, whether it was at Real Madrid or whether it was when you went to Manchester United. What went on in those dressing rooms that perhaps hadn't happened in places where you'd played football previously or played football since, that made the difference at those clubs that truly believed? Because this is a Liverpool dressing room with 3 Premier League titles between all those players. Manchester City are going to have 30 odd between them.
Well, it was probably quality, Jake. I think that goes down to it. I think when you have supreme quality, that also brings a level of confidence. And when you look around various dressing rooms, you think to yourself, we are going to challenge at the beginning of at the beginning of the season. You're going to challenge at the end of the season.
At Real, was it just a given? Did you even talk about winning the league? Because it was kind of a given that with 6 weeks to go, you'd be in the hunt.
Yeah, but it was also about being in the hunt for every other trophy. It was also about being in the hunt for the Champions League. It wasn't just about the league. If you would have got knocked out of the Champions League in early February in the last 16 or in the group stage in December, that was unthinkable. So you had to be always challenging for both. And I've mentioned it before. I didn't do the league and the Champions League double because it was so hard and the pressure becomes so intense at times. And you have to keep everybody fit all the time, and various injuries come along that stifle you as a team, and you'll get knocked out of, we got knocked out on the semi-final of the Champions League and we won the league, and you felt a body blow, and it's how you respond of that. But the quality of your teammates, you always knew that you had the ability to go again. And if you did lose an important game in Europe, or you did lose an important game in league, 3 days later, when you had another league game or another important game, you just bounced back and won. And that's the quality of the player.
It's a mentality. It's a mentality thing. I have been at clubs where the best players, and I've been at clubs whereby surviving is success. And the way they approach games, the way they approach training, the way they approach everything is just chalk and cheese.
Without naming names, which you don't want to, give us examples.
If you play in a 5-a-side game, if you go to Real Madrid, Manchester United, Liverpool, and play in a 5-a-side game, and you get beat, I mean, it's world war in the dressing room after. There's people fighting, there's cuts and bruises, and the manager has to stop it after 10 minutes instead of having a 20-minute game. No, stop it, we can't get any. It's like... it's crazy. And then sometimes, if you're at a club you don't have to play well once every 3 games. Get to 40 points, it's all right. That's subconscious. That's their mentality.
You're geared, though, aren't you?
The best players are just geared to win.
To win every single
5-a-side,
every day, everything they do.
You train as you play, don't you? There's nothing going to, the training sessions, and we used to do a 4v4 session with Arsene Wenger, 2 small goals brought up, edge of the box. I mean, the tackles that were flying in there, you didn't want to be the player that was going to let down that group. And you had to be in a winning team. And Arsene Wenger sometimes had to bring it to a quick close because it was getting too tetchy, too many big tackles. But it was a pleasure to be with those types of players that want the same thing as you. And the competition for places, and I saw that today with the substitutes for Liverpool, when they came off the bench, everybody's wanting to prove. Henderson played some magnificent balls when you look at his performance and you think he shouldn't be on the bench. But you look at this great club, and it was a truly great club, wasn't it, in the 80s, Liverpool, and the 70s. And you saw the last time they got close to winning it, with Steven Gerrard was very closely, wasn't he, linked, and Brendan Rodgers, and they fell almost in the last few steps. And I wondered, there was so much pressure coming from the supporters here. I hope that they've learned from that as a football club, and that the fans enjoy it, but don't strangle the players.
The pressure here is going to be incredible.
No, but that's a warning, because that what happened that season.
How can you help yourself if you're a Liverpool fan and you think that you're going to, Liverpool don't really remember Liverpool winning the title. They've got little recollections as being little kids, but they don't really know what it's like.
But no club has a divine right to win the Premier League, and Liverpool fans maybe felt that it was their time, it was their moment.
Up to the players to be lifted by that, isn't it? Rather
but I think at that stage, if we look, I'm not sure what year that was with Brendan Rodgers, but it almost worked against them a little bit at the end. It was just meant too much, and it's about making it's a football game of football. Do you know, an awful lot's happened over the years to this football club, and I think they can do it. I think they're not far away, but you want that great energy, and it's almost like a 12th man. Whenever you played here, you felt that, didn't you? When you played, you played here as the home team. It was very difficult, and they can do it, but their plans will play a major part.
I think they've got a better team now. Their game management, and that will come down to the manager. I think if you look back to the Chelsea game here, they didn't need to necessarily go and win the game when they lost that day. They could have easily drew the game because they were battered than Chelsea has in possession stats. Chelsea sat back, defended, nicked a couple of goals, firstly the Denver Bar one and then really late on, but they could have drawn that game. And then the Palace game after that, which people refer to when they were 3 up and could have been 7 up, they went and somehow conspired to draw that game, to concede 3 late on. And I think that wouldn't happen now with this team. I think they've got too many leaders in. I think they've got better players, and I think they're more equipped, and I think the manager will instill in that if you're 1-0 up, you're 2-0 up, you're 3-0 up, you do not take chances and let other teams back in the game. And if we need a draw out of this game, we'll take a draw, but by all means do not lose it.
Guardiola, though, is a genius. He is, and I think we're lucky that he's come to our shores for us to see it. We all talk about the Premier League, and
if he's just a genius, what does it make Jurgen Klopp to be?
I was used to call him Crazy Klopp, and I felt sometimes that his balance wasn't right, but I think he's more balanced now. And I think he's learning, and I think we alluded to the fact his very first full season, he looked tired to me that Christmas. He didn't. His teams were playing 100 miles an hour. He didn't understand the workload that was around him. But now he's been. If you look at the way that he's used players through the Christmas period, put people on, taking them. You look at the number of runs Mane made today. I was looking at the stats. I thought, well, yeah, he takes him off. He's getting all the information available to him. He's doing it brilliantly well. It's just, they are up against Man City. Let's not forget, and their manager and the team that they're up against is quite formidable.
To give you at home a little bit of insight, we ask for the manager to join us for that 2-way at the end, and he doesn't have to. They can just say no, and they can speak to Paul Dempsey in the tunnel.
Who wants to speak to Dempo?
Not me. Not Jurgen Klopp either, by the looks of things.
He had a flight back to Ireland and was still to bits.
The message we got back was Jurgen will do it, but he wants to keep it short.
Yeah.
And then we asked a couple of questions, and he couldn't wait to get the headphones off. Now I think you're right. A couple of seasons ago, they put 5 here past Arsenal, and he's shouting and jumping around in front of the camera, and I think it's a combination of learning, but also he knows the importance of the City game that is next. It's almost like he thought to himself, do you know what, I need to do it because it's in the contract with the Premier League, so I've got to speak to BT, but I don't want to really give them much. Respect, I want to get it done. With
all respect, it was all about the City game. We all turned up today, and because we knew of Arsenal's injury problems, and once we saw the 2 starting 11s, we were sitting early on, we all thought Liverpool would win today, and we all thought Liverpool would win comfortably. I know Martin was a little bit more hopeful, tongue-in-cheek, but
that was only on the telly.
There's no disrespect to us, and we thought they'd win, so it was all about
anyway. So I mean, inside him, he will have
He's done his talking on the pitch. He's just fulfilling that commitment of talking to the press.
There's lots of questions coming in. Before we go into these, very quickly, you had the use of a psychologist in your title-winning seasons at Arsenal, didn't you?
Yes.
What was the reasons for that, and what were the things they worked with you on?
He came in because for successive seasons, we were coming second best accused of being second best, shall we say. We came second to Manchester United. This guy wandered in and said, you guys are second best. And we had World Cup winners dotted around the dressing room, weren't very happy with those sorts of comments. How do we get to boiling point? How do we get out of what looks like you're in a comfort zone? You keep coming second by whether it's 1 point or 2. And we found that extra 10%. And we became champions again. And it kind of meant more by talking about it before we did it.
Did you see him individually, or was it just on a group level?
It was a collective thing. It was a group thing. I believe that psychologist, Dave Elliott was his name. He was working with Liverpool, was working also with Houllier, was working with Arsene Wenger. We came in, we targeted what we were looking to achieve at the start of the season. They were our goals. We drew like an imaginary elastic band that we were being pulled towards those targets when we went out the Champions League. We calibrated and went after the original targets.
And the players bought into this?
The players bought into. No, I mean 1 or 2 might have said, but we it was good. It improved the group, and somehow we then started to win things, and we turned it around, and we had this tremendous team spirit, this belief. Our problem was keeping all 11 players on the pitch, believe it or not. We tended to overreact to situations.
No.
And once we kept 11 players on the pitch, I thought actually one season we won it with almost 10 players. I think that was 2002. But we became more disciplined, and we fronted up our issues and our problems, and we became successful.
This is not new, though. I mean, we had psychologists, and I think every team have them. It's some people buy into it, some people like individuals, some people go as a group. The very man talking to, I had individual, and I didn't particularly buy into them.
You needed it
personally. No.